Good morning, everybody. Hope you all are having a great day, great morning. You ready to get this party started? Um, I am Jamie. I am essentially your substitute teacher. This is a substitute teacher type of situation. All right. So, and I know how y'all done treated y'all substitute teachers in the past, but we're not going to go over that. We ain't gonna even talk about that. We just gonna move on. But I want you to keep your expectations tapered because I do not have the depth of knowledge that Alyssa has. But I'll be with you on today. How about that? Hello, Janae and Marsha. We can jump right in and get started. If you have any tickers that you want, thank you for the apples, Janae. I appreciate that. If you have any tickers that you want looked at before we conclude the broadcast, please drop them in the chat box so that we can see them. Hello, Adrian Dupree. The first thing I really want to take a look at is what happened yesterday with SPX. It actually opened and dropped, went back up and hit that roller coaster. So this is the 15-minute chart, and this is the chart on Thinkorswim. So essentially, when it closed yesterday, closed at 49.53, and so I don't know if anybody were doing calls or puts or what have you, but I will say that I always tell people to beware of this time frame right here, which is the 10 o'clock turnaround. Normally you'll see something happening around 10 o'clock. So you might want to be careful of that anytime you're trading, but this is what went down. So we have a nice little chunk of activity right there. And 49.53 is what I have as the close for the mini ES for yesterday's close. So we go 345. I have, oops, let's go backwards. Gonna look at the close of yesterday. 330, 345. So just close it with 49.71. So the difference between those two, 49.53 and 49.71, is 18. So when we go to look at Mancini numbers, our numbers will be 18. All right. So we'll keep that in mind. And I'm going to put, I'll just add, I'm going to add T triple Q to this list because I see that was dropped in the chat box. Hello, Deanja, Karen Sizzleline, Lady T, and Tanya. Good morning. So we'll definitely take a look at triple Q, and we will circle back to all the other good stuff as we progress. So let's start with earnings. Might as well start with earnings. So earnings, we have before the market, it was Barrick, CME Group, Kraft Heinz, Sony, Parsons, Generac. This is Blackstone right here. Williams, Sonoco, which is gasoline, and Martin Marietta. After close today, it'll be Albemarle, Twilio, Oxy, which I believe is Occidental, which is gasoline, Cisco, Energy Transfer, AppLovin, Fastly. That's in the tech space, HubSpot, Upwork, and QuantumScape. Y'all might want to do some research on QuantumScape. Hello, Tamara, Lady T, Tanya Davis. Y'all showed up in droves this morning. Before the open tomorrow, which could very well affect today, we got Crocs, John Deere, EPAM, Yeti, Penn National, Oatly. I'm not even sure what PBF is, but Wendy's, Interdigital, and Alkermes. That's what's happening before open. And I can definitely tell you, because of the Super Bowl, I shouldn't say I can definitely tell you. I can definitely warn you that there may have been some movement for Thursday after close because of the Super Bowl. DraftKings may have had a little bit of movement because of Bitcoin, Coinbase, maybe seeing something, but we also have Roku Trade Desk, Applied Materials, DoorDash, Agnico Eagle Toast, Open Door, and Hannon Armstrong. If you are trading consumer discretionary and that's XLY and XLK, you should definitely expect to see something happening, because XLK is going to include Coinbase, Roku, Trade Desk, Applied Materials, probably DoorDash as well. I'm not sure what Toast is, but so I would say over the next let's say next 3 earnings reports, you might see something jumping off, whether you like it or not. You may see something. So let's take a look around the world. Bitcoin is up to 51,965, and I only brought that one up because I just mentioned it. But it says Bitcoin regains $1 trillion market cap as the cryptocurrency hits over 2-year high. The one thing that I can tell you, based on what I've seen in terms of the market, is that many times whenever there's an event that happens, especially something like COVID, but any type of like shift like that, you're going to see things like Bitcoin, the tech sector is going to drop, because that stuff is considered growth stocks. So people are going to move their money to something that they figure is a little bit more consistent or stable. And so I'm not surprised to see crypto, kind of getting back to where it was, before COVID. So in terms of the world market, Asia, most Asian markets fall after hotter than expected U.S. inflation data sends Wall Street lower. We got ASX 200 down 0.74%, the Nikkei down 0.69%, Kospi down 1.10%, which was down the most. HSI up 0.84%, and Shanghai up the most at 1.28%. Europe up for DAX up 0.20%, FTSE up 0.68%, CAC up 0.49%, FTSE MIB, which is Milano, is up the most second most at 0.62%, and Stoxx 600 up 0.37%. Apparently they had really good earnings over in Europe. European markets climb after earnings deluge. Delivery Hero up 11%. So in other words, they were stacking paper. Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up 0.19%. Actually, well, now it's 0.19%. We didn't catch this before the open. But currently, S&P 500, 0.54% is up. NASDAQ up 0.74%. Russell 2K, fell off a cliff a little bit, down 3.96%. And the VIX currently is down 8.64%. Stock futures rise after Dow suffers a worst session since March 22. What? This is wrong. Well, since March 2023, I guess technically that is correct. Let's look at, so for pre-market, this is our pre-market information. Dow futures is up 0.31%, S&P futures up 0.48%, NAS futures is up the most at 0.63%, and that is what is happening right now. Let us look. Hello, J&J Contract Furniture Incorporated. Hello, Alyssa. Tanya Davis loves DKNG. Okay, DraftKings. We might have to ask you some questions about that. So for our Forex Factory calendar, there's only two things on the menu. Yellow folders, crude oil inventories at 10:30, and at 4 o'clock, FOMC member bar speaks. So those are the only two things, which, if you're not aware, quote unquote, only two things means only two for that particular news source. We also have some things that have happened already. This was taken yesterday. So we got the NBA mortgage rate. These are all 1 stars all the way up until 7 o'clock. But so we got all of them was mortgage related and they were all 1 stars. But you had the mortgage rate, the week over week mortgage applications, the NBA purchase index, the mortgage market index, and the mortgage refinance index. These were all 1 stars. But another 1 star at 9:30, which is happening now, is Fed Goolsby speaks. That's a 1 star. At 10 o'clock, we have another 1 star, Thomson Reuters Ipsos PCSI for February. Please do not ask me what that is. 10:30, 3 stars, crude oil inventories. For whatever reason, on the other one, it's only 1 star. Here it's 3 stars. Also at 10:30, EIA refinery crude runs week over week. The next 1 star, still 10:30, is crude oil imports. But there's a 2 star at 10:30, which is Cushing crude oil inventories. The rest are 1 stars, distillate fuel production, EIA weekly distillate stocks, gasoline production, heating oil stockpiles, EIA refinery utilization rates week over week, gasoline inventories. And then at 4 o'clock, Fed Vice Chair for Supervision Barr speaks. So they got that at 1 star. So according to this, it's a little bit more detailed. I will say that about investing.com. They have a lot more details of what's happening throughout the day. But if you notice, the majority of what's being reported is done at 10:30. And then there's nothing, quote unquote, being reported. That is not to say that there's not going to be nothing happening. But it is to say that the things that are listed, that we can see, have their own, taking on a life of their own or whatever. But there may be some extra stuff that happens. So, as I said earlier, the number for the distance between the ES, which is the mini, and SPX is 18. This is Adam Mancini. We got this from Twitter. And he charts the mini futures for S&P 500. So he has strong follow through for yesterday afternoon's SPX long. Yesterday I covered short and went long, approximately 49.15. We saw 49.18 low of day, and now back at 49.79 resistance. Lock in some gains. Plan today, 49.69 to 72, 49.53. Those are the supports. If it keeps, 49.86, 49.95 to 5,000. Back test live. If 49.53 fails, we'll retest to 49.24. So the upper numbers are 49.69 to 72, 49.53. And the bottom numbers will be 49.53 and 49.24. So that is something to be aware of. As a matter of fact, what we'll do, that's going to be, I won't even, basically, keep your eye on 49.53. That's pretty much what that means. I'm going to drop 49.53 on this chart. And since we're here, it's not been 15 minutes yet, but this was a gap up that happened and this morning. And so it went from here, gapped up. This is about 52, what, almost $20, something like that. So already the sellers have pushed down. That's the first thing you notice, is that it jumped up, but the sellers beat them down. Yeah. So I'm gonna put one line in, and we're gonna do 49.53. 49.53. Gonna put this in so that we can have Mancini's numbers. And so that's the important number for the day. All right. Good morning, Lisa Henry. All right, so we'll take a look at this, but I can definitely say for the first 15 minutes, they are straight up duking it out, man. This would be for the morning so far, that would be considered indecision. So no moves would be made right now. I wouldn't get in. Let me just say it that way. So that's for SPX. So we'll put a tab on that. TQQ was TQQQ Ultra Pro for triple Q. Let's take a look at this. I'm gonna clear this drawing set. Wait, before I clear it though, this is a daily chart and this is a channel. So this has been going in an upward channel. What's happening right now? So actually I won't clear it. I'll just explain to you what you're looking at. So the green lines on here are the main levels that I found on the daily chart. The yellow one is for the monthly, and the blue ones are for the weekly. So I just put a line in where I saw price turn around. And so these are the areas that I saw price turn around. So I'm not surprised that there's this activity, all this activity here, because that's a strong price point on all three of those charts. So I'm gonna blow this up for you. So this is on TQQQ. So what's happening right now is it has been moving on up like George and Wheezy for a while now. And so the overall trend is up, but it did gap down last couple sessions. But what's really happening for today is it gapped up, but it's also hitting a monthly price point, and it got rejected on that monthly price point. And so right now it's kind of stuck between daily and monthly. All right. So that's what's happening right there. Obviously, we're only 15 minutes in, so we can't really say what the rest of the day will bring. But in terms of the overall trajectory, it is moving up. And but it is, it just did a pullback, and it pulled back to its previous level, which is in the $57 range, to that zone. So that's where it currently is right now. Good morning, Deborah Moore. So let's clear. So I usually start with month, but I'll just show you what I was talking about. So this is where it got rejected on the daily. This is the monthly that we're looking at right now. So this is the level that it was on. So this is the monthly view of it that gave us that little rejection. So as of right now, it's actually, if you want to be honest about it, it's kind of stuck between two gaps, because it gapped down first. Depending on how you look at gaps, I better say it that way, because I'm not in the mood to hear no beef, catch no smoke on that. But different people look at gaps different ways. So in my estimation, it gapped down, it pushed up, and then it came back down because the sellers pushed it back down, and then it gapped up again. So visually, for my eyeballs, without having a magnifying glass or something like that, I'm going to say duplicate this trend line. So I look at that as being stuck between two. So there's different theories about that. Obviously, at some point, it's going to break out on one side or the other for TQQQ. Really, it already has started pushing through. But the idea is just to understand that there's resistance above and below it. That's what's most important, that there's potential resistance above and below it. So no telling how that's going to turn out for the day. But I will say that this fell into a buyer zone, and this is a buyer zone formation. Let me say it that way. But this is, like I said before, this is a pullback. So that's the way I see that. All right. There is we're going to, I didn't see any more tickers in there. Anybody else got a ticker they want looked at? Is I don't know if DK, I don't know if that was a request or not, DraftKings, but we'll take a look at it. DraftKings. No. I saw DraftKings in the chat box. I like to look at the monthly first to see what it's doing. And this has already broken past its recent high right here on November. This is weekly. I thought I was on monthly. So this is monthly. This is coming up to a high on monthly. Well, it still broke past the recent high anyway, but right here at 46 on the monthly, this is a shear formation, leg in, base, leg out. So that's a seller zone we can expect to cause a little bit of resistance there on the monthly chart. On the weekly chart, to be honest with you, there's activity up here. I'm not surprised that it is stopping right about here. This is a level. Price keeps turning around right here, right in this area. And so when you see this happening, price is turning around at a certain area. When the price is resistance and then it becomes support, that is called parity. And that lets you know that that's a strong price point. And so even though I don't really see a seller's formation here that's close to this price, I do see a parity line, which is, this about where it's hitting right now. So if I was looking at it like, well, what is the next seller zone up? I probably would put all of these in the base. In terms of like having something to actually chart, I'll be doing something like this. This is on the weekly though, so be aware of that, but it'll show up on the daily. But if I was just looking at the weekly, I'll be something like this. Leg in, you got these in the base, and then leg out. That's how I'll be looking at that. That's not to say I'll be looking at it correctly, but that's how I'll be looking at that. I don't see anything else that would be a formation that's this close to price, and it's bouncing off this, area as well. So it is in the seller zone. The thing to watch about DraftKings, I would say, is just be aware that it's coming into this seller zone. There's a lot of sellers that are up here. And so since it's in the seller zone and could be turning around, you're probably going to want to watch it to see what this next leg is going to be. Because even though this is in the seller zone and maybe turning around, it could also shoot straight up. And, so you don't want to, you want to wait till that actually fully forms to make a decision. That's just my opinion. If we're looking at it from the weekly side, and I include monthly and weekly when I look at the chart, because I know people are trading on the monthly and weekly, not just on the daily. So, but in terms of the daily chart, which most of us are probably familiar with, to be honest, I'm going to bring this line down since we're not saving these. This is in the seller zone, in my opinion. So I would do leg in, 2 in the base, and leg out right there. Putting that in the seller zone. There's a couple different ways you could actually probably look at that, but I'll just say this is sitting in the zone right now. The closest thing that I see to a buyer zone would be here. I'm not saying that I like it. I'm saying that's what I see. To me, it's an ugly buyer zone, but I don't like I don't like funny looking formations. But that's not my call. But this is what I'll be looking at. I personally wouldn't be trading it right now just because I don't really like the formations all that much. But that's what I see. Leg in, 2 in the base, leg out. And then the small leg in, again, I hate those. Leg in, 1 in the base, leg out. But I don't consider these to be strong formations. That's my personal opinion on that. Okay. Okay. Let me do SOXL and NVIDIA real quick. Yeah, same deal. This is also moving up, and this is stuck between a 4-hour and a daily. It gapped up, and it's between 4-hour and daily. So when I agree, Janae, some very funny formations. I don't like them. This also recently did a pullback. It is on a SOXL is on a run up. One of the I can say that. One of the reasons this is on a monthly. One of the reasons the SOXL is on the run up is because it's an ETF that has a basket of stocks within it, much like a mutual fund. And your NVIDIA, AMD, they're sitting in there. And so they have a lot of pull. So when they run up, SOXL is going to run up. XLK is going to run up. SMH is going to run up. There's a whole list of them. But so there's obviously now overall, if you're going like for the past, let's say 3 years, it's still downtrending, but recently, definitely on the uptrend. Trading in the channel. For the weekly, same deal. Nice formation right here. This is in the seller zone. I'm looking right here. So for the weekly, 38.77 to 45.82 would be the seller zone that I would say that is in right now. And then there's a nice clear buyer zone right here at 28. 28 to 24.81. This one right here, this formation right here, I personally hate these formations with when the leg in looks like this. If you want to count this as the closest to price, I don't see how I could say you're wrong. I just prefer fuller candles. But the important thing is to understand what's happening with this candle. Regardless of what the formation is, understand what's happening with the candles. And in this case, the buyers had pushed this price up for that week, and the sellers pretty much was like, nah, player, that's not what we doing. For the weekly also, this is coming into a seller zone. So this formation right here becomes a little bit more valid. This is called a bearish harami, because this candle was an up candle and we're in the seller zone, and it engulfed this candle, which was a smaller, and it's the opposite. So this was an up candle, this was a down candle. So this is a bearish harami. I might say, if I said bullish, I'm sorry. It's a bearish harami, but you gotta wait to see what this next week is gonna be to really get a gauge for what's happening, because that formation shows up. Sometimes it can be a continuation formation, but it's not fully all the way at the top of this zone. It's in the zone, but it hasn't kind of reached that turnaround. So that could be one of those. Continuation ones that look like it's going to turn around. But in terms of the daily chart, we have this right here, which is a gap down. And even though it gapped down, it is bouncing back up into the zone. And this really would be considered a zone on top of a zone, because leg in, base, leg out. Okay. This is currently forming. But if this is the leg in, this will be the base and this will be the leg out. This means that it gapped up and it's currently forming this last leg. So what I would be doing, if I'm trading this, I probably would be down here for my main buyer zone, and I probably would mark this one, because this, even though it, how do I want to say that? So I can't take into account how everybody trades, but I can say that because this based right here, and it has tiny bit of a gap up, and because it has turned around here before, there's obviously something happening at this price point and right down here. You see over here, this was resistance before, and so it broke through there, been support and resistance. So these two lines are more so marking the fact that something occurred, not necessarily trying to create a zone, but I like to mark that there's something's obviously going on here. But for my purposes, I would be making this right here my buyer zone that I will be definitely, looking at, and I'll do this as a seller zone. Once this finishes up and we see what it's doing, then I might look at that a little bit differently. But since these don't really have there's no clear cheer right here. Yeah, there's no clear cheer formation, but it did base. So I would acknowledge that there's something happening in there. In fact, I usually acknowledge it with gray instead of green. So that's how I would look at that. Obviously, you know, if you're doing, I'm not one to suggest what people should trade. But I will say that call credit spreads premiums right now would probably be higher than put credit spreads because it's closer to the seller zone in that regard. But I am not equipped to be trying to give y'all no investment advice, so please don't assume. And the next seller zone up is up here at 44.83. So this is where the next seller zone would be heading up. And that's a nice formation as well. So even though prices turned around at this 41.33 spot. All right. So before we do the last one, let's take a look at SPX. See what we got for look at the 15-minute chart again. And we will take a look and see what's going down. So here's what happened so far. We have it really hasn't broken out of anything. So it's still sitting there in between here. It has not made a decision either way. So if you're doing, I know people do the breakout and things of that nature. The only thing that I can say that I noticed is that it did gap up. Initially, it did gap up above yesterday's high, and it is still below the low of the 12th, right? Because it gapped down initially here, right? So initially it gapped down, came back up. Purple is for my gaps. And then when it ended, did it again and pushed back down into this. So there's quite a few places that you could put this line, if we're being honest. You could actually put this line here because it did push up this space. There's always questions about what happens when you gap through a gap. So it all just depends on how people prefer to chart it. I prefer to look at it from the standpoint of what did the price do, and I need a visual picture of what the price did. So I kind of charted according to what visually the price did. So this helps me recognize there's a gap above it. There was a gap below it. And for my purposes, it's sitting between the gap. And there's still indecision over the past 45, right? 10, what is it? 30, over the past half hour and some change. So it hasn't broken out in either direction, really. So that's one I would definitely say wait on before making any moves. I'm assuming some people already probably made some decisions on those, but so this is what I have here. I guess it's the last one in NVIDIA. I don't see any more. All right. We got, well, first of all, NVIDIA has been on a crazy run up regardless. So when you're dealing with NVIDIA, just as a general rule, you're basically dealing with the Apple of video graphics cards. They're on that level. So they're at mostly they're at all-time highs right now. So they are raking it in. So all-time highs just simply means, you may not find a clear seller zone on those higher time frames. This one on the daily, we do have a seller zone formation, which is really today's candle is kind of coming up through there. So let's say it's in the seller zone, right? Leg in, base, leg out. So it's right there in the seller zone. So let me tell y'all this part. I'm not making a prediction. My background is IT. So I was familiar with NVIDIA before all of this stuff started, because I used to build computers, and NVIDIA was one of our. I mean, if you gonna get a graphics card, you was gonna get NVIDIA. Let me just say it like that. So what's happening is one of the things that's happening for NVIDIA. So the United States has basically they've been putting certain restrictions on semiconductors going to China. And so certain semiconductors are not approved for sale to China, right? So I believe it's NVIDIA is at least one semiconductor company that decided, okay, well, since they can't buy those chips from us, we'll make chips that they can buy from us. Right? I was like, yo, that's how you do business, player. So now instead of them going, oh, okay, we're gonna lose money on what we can't sell to them, because like it or not, China is buying, they're ahead of the game in pretty much every avenue of technology that I've seen, but they're gonna make some that they can purchase. So I don't see, just based on the fact that they're dominating their arena in tech space. I mean, this is not a stock that when I hear people saying that they shorted NVIDIA, I'm looking at the chart going, why? You can't. Well, you shouldn't be shorting them for long periods of time, because these jokers is heading up. So when it comes to graphics cards, specifically the graphics cards, what NVIDIA does, they are the, now, because you have data, whatever you're dealing with the cloud, now you're dealing with a lot more data and semiconductor related stuff. So you're going to get AMD and Intel, Micron, they're all going to be in a similar space. All of that is XLK in terms of sector ETFs. But when it came to gaming, like let's say if you were going to get a CPU for gaming, you're probably going to do AMD. Gaming pretty much was AMD. But those graphics cards, you was going for NVIDIA for sure. So what I have right here is in a sell zone. I'm putting my buyer zone down here with a gap right here. This filled a gap. This is one of those where it kind of based a little bit, but it still went up. So I would consider this to be an area where something happened. I put that in that category again. Something happened right here. So I want to make sure I acknowledge that. And when I say something happened, it could be price comes through here and, stops here again. Who knows? But it respected this line for a reason, right? And then I'll put one down here because this is the furthest down it went. But it also is crossing this line. And if I was to guess, I would assume that somewhere in the past, well, no, because this is a all-time high, so it wouldn't have crossed it. Usually when I see a base, I always think there's somewhere in the past it may have turned around. But So this is what my chart will look like for NVIDIA. This right here, leg in, base, leg out, could also be a cheer formation. People are very what's the word I want to use? They're very I don't know what the proper word I want to use is. Particular probably is the best word when it comes to those cheer formations. So if somebody wanted to say this was leg in, base, leg out, and they want to call this a buyer zone with this one cheer in the base, with this one candle in the base, I wouldn't disagree with them. I just definitely would not, try to do something with just these two or something like that. I would either do this or I would do like all four of these and just use this as a leg in, four in the base, leg out. But I definitely would not have a problem with this one. So if you want to use this as your buyer zone, that just means that the zones are closer together. So you definitely have to watch it. But if I'm doing anything with NVIDIA right now, I'll be doing put credit spreads. 696. Just gonna look at this real quick and then I'll let y'all go. So I was 695. So to expire on this Friday, if you went to 82%, this is out the money, 82% out the money. Delta would be 16. This is a 5 spread, which is why I can't trade it right now, but still, as of right now, I will still wait to get in. So you're looking at for a 5 spread, over $60 in premium. So I'm looking at that. 710 for a put. That's a put credit spread. This is trade station that I'm in right now. I'm just looking to see 710. 17. You got let's put that about almost 80% chance of keeping the money, keeping your premium. I would not do, I wouldn't even do call credit spread right now on NVIDIA, but that's just me. That's not investment advice, but I definitely wouldn't. Okay. So I don't see any more tickers. There is a free charting webinar if you are interested. It's called Start With The Chart, is at startwiththechart.com. So feel free to take a look at that, startwiththechart.com. If you are new to charting or are looking for, let's say, some more tips when it comes to charting, that's a good place to go. Yeah, so we got we did earnings already. Man, E2T calendar. We are still doing the small account challenge. Technically, I believe this is the second week of the challenge. By the way, let me say this so I will not seem like the Grinch. Happy Valentine's Day to all you people who are in love. All right. Hope you enjoy yourself. Okay. On our chart, we have I see 2 stars saying say a special prayer for Alyssa with no details. So y'all make sure y'all say a special prayer for Alyssa. No special details. We had our weekly training last night. Okay. And yeah, we'll be continuing the challenge throughout the rest of the month. And our Alyssa's birthday is on February 28th. Yep. Which is the last, well, it used to be one of the last days. We get all the way to the end of February. A winter birthday. All right. So I didn't see any more tickers. So we're going to keep it moving. All right. We're going to keep it moving. I think we have touched on everything. One more time, I just want to swing back to SPX. And 15 minutes. And let's see. Nope. Still ain't doing much of nothing. All right. So we are well into, this is the 10 o'clock turnaround that we were talking about earlier. So we haven't really seen it do anything. So it is what it is. Like I said earlier, we don't have anything listed that could derail and drop anything, but you never know what could happen. All right. So with all of that being said, if you are interested in learning more about selling, because we are option sellers, you can go to educatortotrader.com. I always will suggest to people to look at the options 411 because that is something that you may want to see. So educatortotrader.com is the website to get all of the training. Also, if you'd like to be a member, I would highly encourage you to join as well. And you can also join the membership at educatortotrader.com. Okay. So with all that being said, we are going to go on to our E2T daily declaration. By faith, I am a successful trader. I am a wise and knowledgeable trader. I make smart and lucrative decisions for my portfolios. Money likes me because money is comfortable around me. It is drawn to me. E2T daily prayer. Lord, give us wisdom and knowledge for our trades today. Help us to make smart and lucrative decisions for our portfolios. Start with the chart.com. For John Goodwin, start with the chart.com. Let's see. Oh, I tried to type it in there. I don't think I can. Can I? Yeah, start with the chart.com. Let me see. I'm looking for the actual banner. Oh, there it is. Free charting webinar, start with the chart.com. That's what we want. All right. So you all have a hey, Facebook user. All right, so Karen C. Lady T, you're welcome. So we are going to conclude for today. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Totally appreciate it. I have been your substitute person, YouTube person. If you are, hey Peggy, where you been? I won't even get into it. You know where to find us. On Telegram, the Pexter. We will see y'all tomorrow, and looking forward to it. So you all have a great and profitable day in our ecosystem. We always strive to do two things, and that is stay green and get this money. All right. You all have a good one, and we will talk to y'all later.